Unless there are any other questions, hearing none, we will have our bookend public comment and privilege of the floor. If there's anyone present who wishes to address council at this time, please come to the microphone, tell us your name, where you live, and what's on your mind.
Terry Rumsey, 342 West 4th Street here in the Borough. I have a question. Who initiated the contact? Did the Brumels Lake Country Club come to the council? Because the matter was resolved by the rather decisive victory in federal court. Who initiated the contact? Did Brumels Lake Country Club come to the borough, or did the borough go to Brumels Lake Country Club?
Terry, I frankly do not recall.
Try a little better than that one, Brian. Come on.
I can't do better than that. I simply do not.
You have. Does anyone know?
I
don't feel the obligation to reveal that.
Yeah, I didn't.
Even if I did know, I don't recall either. But
Okay.
we had outside counsel handling it. I don't recall, and I don't feel any obligation to reveal that.
Was there any threat from Brumels Lake Country Club to file a lawsuit made to
appeal?
To appeal or file a state court?
Yes, there was an appeal looming. That's what drove the
They had contacted you and said that.
I'm not going to say anything.
Okay. I'm asking the question. The answer is you won't answer.
The answer was they had the right to appeal.
Well, I know they had the right to appeal. I'm asking.
So Terry, allow him to answer your question.
You think it got settled for nothing? It got settled because there was a perceived threat out there. Okay?
Perceived threat is different from a stated threat.
Do you have any other questions?
Okay, yes. On the agenda, it says motion to rescind the Merck ordinance. I was wondering why no one wrote that there was a motion to ratify a stipulation and settlement with BLCC on this, and so that no one reading this would have known that this was going to be discussed tonight. Who made that decision, and why?
Terry, council relies upon the administrative staff to put together an agenda. We rarely, if ever, have any input as to what the agenda, what the actual words of the agenda are. So I can't tell you.
I'll just state, Brian, anyone reading this prior would have no idea that this discussion was going to happen tonight. And no one ever, the public never knew that this discussion was going to happen tonight.
So, Terry, we are parties to a lawsuit. That discussion is among us as a party to a lawsuit.
Right, but you have to have a public vote on it.
That's exactly
and that's what happened tonight, but it would happen without anyone knowing that it was going to happen. That's all I'm pointing out. And it should have been on this agenda. That would have been the proper way to do this.
We will talk to administrative staff and see whether or not that's appropriate to do in the future, and if so, that's what we will do.
Okay. And the last thing I'll say is they filed what I consider, and which, if you read the judge's ruling, was a completely frivolous and totally nuisance lawsuit against the borough. They targeted each individual council person and the mayor in order to intimidate. And I think rewarding them by rescinding the Merck ordinance just encourages them to litigate every time they have a dispute with this borough. And I think it is a very bad decision. And well, let me ask one more question. This agreement doesn't say that you're not allowed to consider the Merck ordinance in the future, or does it? Are you allowed to answer that?
You should obtain a copy of it.
When is that going to be
You can
available?
obtain a copy of the settlement stipulation by the end of next week, within days, matter of days.
All right, thank you.
I'm not going to, within days.
Well, I thought you might be able to answer that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and, well, the last thing is that, we're going to organize and have people come here, and so you will hear what people think about what the zoning at that property should be.
Fair enough. And I agree with you that Judge Bartle got it right, although, for the record, Judge Bartle did not use the term either nuisance or frivolous.
That was my term.
Correct. Ms. Glasserson.
Yes. Just briefly, Paul, I'm sorry that you felt insulted. I know that everybody here is, and you in particular, in this matter, we're acting in what you think are the best interests of the borough. I just simply disagree with the decision. It's not, didn't mean to insult anybody personally. I do think it might be mysterious to members of the community who recall that it was you who introduced the idea of the MRF ordinance.
Yes, it was.
To begin with, and why you would be so vociferously against it when it seemed sound at the time, and very little has changed in between. I'm not against the idea of a negotiated agreement with the club. I think a sound agreement would have been they agree not to develop their property, and in exchange you agree not to change zoning. That would have been a really sound agreement. It just seems like not really gaining that much for what you're giving up your zoning powers. So that's too bad.
All right. Does anybody